Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I wanted to talk a little bit about plugins, specifically plugins to remove different types of noise from your audio recordings. So, let's get into it. Okay, so here is my Adobe Audition. And what we're going to do is just start recording. We're going to have just a little sample track here that we can play with some of the plugins with. So let's just start recording something. We're going to record a little bit of test audio. Mary had a little lamb whose fleece was white as snow, and everywhere that Mary went, the lamb was sure to go. A little bit of room tone. Okay, great. So as we can see, let me just make the spectral a little bit bigger here. I like using the spectral display because it is so much easier to see mouth noise, to see breaths, and to see, of course, the room tone. Now, this down here is really just the little bit of audio that is being picked up from my computer outside. Um, like I said, my space is very, very small, and the computer is just right outside the door. And the door isn't completely closed either because there's cables running through, and I really don't want to put a hole in the wall or something to run the cables through. But anyway, let's focus. Okay, so here is our sample track. Now, what I would do first is remove some of the noise. So, what I'm going to do is come over to my effects rack and I'm going to select a VST3, which is what your plugins are. And I have effects from Waves, and then I also have Izotope for restoration or repair. So what we're going to do first is go to our NS1 mono because this is a mono track. This is not stereo. And this is a plugin from Waves. This is one of the plugins that I recommend the most because it is so good. It removes noise without distorting your voice. Some other noise removal programs that I have found, I know Adobe has added a lot of plugins or a lot of effects to their software, but to be honest, I haven't really tested them because if it's not broke, then why should I fix it? I've already paid for these plugins, so I'm going to keep them and use them because they work well. So NS1, you can start from 0 and go all the way up to 100, and it does distort your voice a little bit up there, but it won't completely destroy it. But for this kind of noise, here, let's get rid of this really quick. And let's zero in on this room tone here. So if I bring back over, let's see, open up my NS1, lift this up a little bit. Sorry, dog next door. Oh, okay. So if I go to, let's just say, we'll go to 20, a little bit of room tone. And you can see it's showing the amount of noise that it's removing here. I'll show you that again. Just start recording something. We're going to record a little bit of test audio. Mary had a little lamb whose fleece was white as snow, and everywhere that Mary went, the lamb was sure to go. A little bit of room tone. So if I apply this, look at the difference. All this noise is gone. Test audio. Mary had a little lamb whose fleece was white as snow, and everywhere that Mary went, the lamb was sure to go. A little bit of room tone. So, for those of us that narrate audiobooks, you can see that this is absolutely amazing because your noise floor is just non existent. A little bit of room tone. And that is one of the many reasons why I love NS1. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is mouth noise that is present all over in this track. There's a little bit here, there's a little bit there, a little bit there. So, a great plugin that I use for mouth noise is through. Izotope. Now, I have the RX7 suite, which I bought last year, about 6 months or so before the RX8 came out. But I bought this for the mouth declick. Now, this is pretty much the default of how it pulls up here. The sensitivity I leave right at about 4, but I do widen the click repair area to about 2. And let's take a listen here. Actually, let's turn this off so you can hear it before. So let's just start recording something. We're going to record a little bit of test audio. Mary had a little lamb whose fleece was white as snow. And so, as we could see, there was a pretty substantial mouth click there. So, let's listen to it with the mouth declick on. Something. We're going to record a little bit of test audio. Mary had a little lamb whose fleece was white as snow, and everywhere that Mary went, the lamb was sure to go. So if you notice here, it shows you how many clicks were repaired. So if we listen to output clicks only, this is kind of weird. Let's listen to this. It always makes me cringe when I hear it that way. But we're going to go ahead and apply mouth declick. Now, as you can see, just by looking at the spectral display, a lot of those mouth clicks are now gone. Another great plugin. Another plugin that I get asked about a lot is the D-Breath, which I have used, but I don't really use only because it's not like a set and forget kind of plugin. You have to play with it each and every time. So what we'll do now is I'm just going to record a couple of breaths and then I'll show you D-Breath. Okay, so we have some breaths recorded now. So what I'm going to do is pull up D-Breath, which is a waves. No, that's crackle. Let's do, there it is, D-Breath. All right, so I'm going to select just this section here and make sure that it's looped so we only hear the breaths. So the first thing we're going to do is just play it through and watch these settings here. It actually shows you where the breaths are. So what we're going to do is let's see, I'm going to watch that one more time so I can see where they are. Okay, what we want to do is, judging by where these breaths are, we want to adjust the energy or the gate. So a lot of those breaths look like they were quite a bit lower. So I'm going to drop this down a little bit. See, it's still quite not lot low enough here. Let's go down a little bit further. Let's see if we catch more. All right. Actually, before we do this, let me add a little bit of dialogue in here as well. It's actually, you know what? Let's just re-record this. Let's do Mary had a little lamb whose fleece was white as snow, and everywhere that Mary went, the lamb was sure to go. All right. Now that we have a little bit of dialogue in here as well, now let's listen back to the deep breath. Mary had a little lamb whose fleece was white as snow, and everywhere that Mary went, the lamb was sure to go. Mary had a little lamb whose fleece was white as snow, and everywhere that if you notice, it completely took out the breath. However, as you're narrating something long, like an audiobook or something, your breaths are all going to be different. You're going to have a shallow breath, you're going to have a quick breath, you're going to have a big breath. And these are only going to attack the breaths that you set them for. Like for this one that we took here was a pretty substantial breath, and we have set it to take this one out. However, it will only take out that type of breath that we set this for. It will not take out probably the big breaths, the shallow, quick breaths. You know what I mean? It's set for only one type of sound or level. And then you also run the risk, if you have this too high or too low, you run the risk of it removing some of your plosives or some of your H's, some of your D's. You run the risk of it removing stuff that you don't want it to remove. So, deep breath is good if you have maybe a shorter piece that you're working on, and then you can individually attenuate, the breaths. But I mean, really, when it comes down to it, you could always, I mean, for me, it would be just faster just to delete the big breath altogether. It's faster, then you don't have to worry about adjusting the deep breath. But if you wanted to set it to just remove, some of the bigger breaths or just one particular type of breath, you could use the deep breath for that. But again, it's not going to remove all of them. And if you don't have it set properly, you run the risk of having it remove some other attributes of your dialogue as well. So, for that reason, I don't really use the deep breath, but it could come in handy. I'm going to go ahead and remove that effect. Okay, so for the next plugin, I'm going to record a little bit more here. Peter, Peter, pumpkin eater, had a wife and couldn't keep her. Peter, Peter. Okay, so I just wanted some plosives. Let's listen to this real quick. Peter, Peter, pumpkin eater, had a wife and couldn't keep her. Peter, Peter, pumpkin eater. So there's a couple of little plosives. You can see the little puffs of air down here. Peter, Peter, pumpkin eater. Okay, so what we're going to do now is use our Deplosive. This is another one that I use quite a bit. Now, the sensitivity for me, this is my settings for my Deplosive because I don't want it hypersensitive to remove, everything that could be, I guess, close to a plosive. I just want it to remove, some of my P's and some of the sharper stuff. But the strength is pretty, it's a little bit more than halfway. And then my frequency, I have it set to 138 hertz. So let's take a listen to this again now with the Deplosive on. Peter, Peter, pumpkin eater, had a wife and couldn't keep her. Peter, Peter, pumpkin eater. See how it brought down those plosives? Here, let's turn this off. Had a Peter, Peter, pumpkin eater. Let's just listen to this section. Peter, 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 Peter. So let's turn it back on. Peter, 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 Peter. See, it reduced the plosives, but it didn't completely remove the P, which is nice. So this Deplosive is also very, very helpful, and I use it pretty much on every audio file. So let's go ahead and apply Deplosive to everything. Let's just apply that. So let's just start recording something. We're going to record a little bit of test audio. Mary had a little lamb whose fleece was white as snow, and everywhere that Mary went, the lamb was sure to go. Mary had a little lamb whose fleece was white as snow, and Peter, Peter, pumpkin eater, had a wife and couldn't keep her. And there we go. Those are some really great plugins that I recommend that you get, that you look at. The NS one is from waves.com. The RX7 suite that I have is from Izotope. I had to buy the advanced suite, which was the biggest package, in order to get the mouth declick. I don't know if they're going to offer that in a smaller package anytime in the future or if they already have. Actually, you know what? Let's take a look. Okay, so here are the current Rx8 features from isotope.com. Let's see. They've got guitar denoise now, music rebalance, loudness control, spectral recovery, wow, and flutter. I'm not sure what that is. Declick, declip, repair assistant, which I have on mine, which is kind of cool, but to be honest with you, I don't really haven't really used it. De-reverb is another really good one if you have a little bit of room echo. De-Plosive looks like it's available on the advanced and the standard. DS is also good if you have a little bit of sibilance. Mouth declick looks like it's now available in the standard package, not just the advanced, which is good. Let's see what it looks like. De-rustle would be cool. De-wind, ambience match, module phase, signal generator, EQ and level. So, okay, awesome. So it looks like they have some of these that I use a bit now in the standard, not just the advanced. That's awesome. So let's see how much the standard is. So it looks like the standard is $3.99. And this is the advanced. This is the one that I have, but I did not pay this. It was on sale when I bought it, but it was still on the high side. But for the standard, it has quite a bit for $3.99. And I know it's still a lot, but check back every once in a while. They have sales almost all the time for Isotope RX8. So definitely check back often because it's a really great suite of plugins. And there you go. There are some great plugins that I recommend to help you repair some of those common audiophile noise issues that we have to deal with as voice artists. I really hope this helps. If you have any other questions or comments for me, please leave them down below. And if you found this video helpful, hit that like button and the subscribe button. Thank you so much, and I will see you on the next video.